This is what happens whenever I go to bed with my hair wet. Well, hello, welcome to my channel. So in today's tutorial, I kind of thought that I would just take it back to basics. What I mean by that is I'm just going to do a full face of makeup, go in depth on each step that I'm doing. So the aim of this video is more for beginners. If you are just starting off in makeup and you're wanting to just know the basics, hopefully by this video you pick up a few wee tips and tricks that I have learned along the way in my journey in makeup. I will just put out there that I'm not a makeup artist. I've never learned or been taught makeup. These are just tips and tricks that I have learned along the way that I have practiced on myself and that I've picked up through watching YouTube, through listening or watching other makeup artists. So to prep my skin, I'm just going to use the Daly. I'm not too sure if this is pronounced Daly or Cordelia, but this is the Beauty Elixir Smoothing Glowing Complexion Spray. So I just like to give this a shake up first and then just spritz this on the face. I do apologise if you're expecting me to explain as to what that spray does to me and why I like it, but I'm not going to do that because I don't know. It's just like a skincare facial spray, but it just makes my skin feel so nice, and because it has rosemary and mint in it, it just kind of just uplifts the skin and just kind of like awakens the skin. It just makes it feel so nice and refreshing. With me, I'm kind of like touch and go when it comes to primer. I know there are most beauty gurus out there and makeup artists will always swear by a primer. Me on the other hand, I just kind of find that primer is such a gimmick and it's a fantastic way for companies to make more money. Because personally, if you have a really good moisturizer, that's really all you need. But obviously if you have problems areas with your skin, such as enlarged pores, you have texture on the skin, or you are oily, obviously there are primers that will be suited for your skin type. But when it comes to me, I just have pretty normal basic skin. It's dry but it's not overly dry. I just have really normal skin. As you can see, I just get the average breakout. I don't have problems with my pores or texture or anything, and as well as that, I don't care. So I'm going to go in with a primer anyway today because I actually just like this primer. I just enjoy it for the crack. But this is the Origins Original Skin Pore Perfecting Cooling Primer. For foundation, we are going to do full coverage today. As always, if you're not into full coverage, or you're scared of full coverage, or whatever bullshit excuse you want to pull, just take a light hand, honestly. I'm going to use the Huda Beauty foundation in the shade Shortbread 200B. So application to foundation, I always like to go in with a beauty sponge. I was always the type of girl that applied my foundation with a brush, and I could never understand these people that used a sponge for their foundation until I was introduced to using a sponge for foundation. Either way, there is no right or way to apply foundation. If you apply your foundation with your fingers, that is absolutely fantastic. Whatever works for you, that's the beauty of makeup. You do you, boo. Now, I'm not too sure if I've actually mentioned this on my channel before, but one person actually noticed it the other day. I do not. Please do not hang me up and kill me. But I do not dampen my sponge. I hate applying my foundation with a damp beauty sponge. Reason being is because whenever I use a damp beauty sponge to apply my foundation and to blend it out, it shears the product out so much. Obviously I do clean it every now and again. I actually cleaned this, so it's Tuesday, I actually cleaned this on Saturday. And this is how dirty it's got already. I just kind of find that it packs on the foundation better. It sits better on my skin. Sometimes I find that if I'm going in with like a damp beauty sponge and I'm packing on the product, it's like it won't stick to my face. If you're having trouble applying foundation with a beauty sponge or beauty blender, this is just one from Tarte, by the way. I also love the Real Techniques one. It's absolutely fab. Try it dry. I recently got a comment on one of my videos, and it was somebody had said to me about why I basically batter my face whenever I am applying foundation. The reason I go so hard on my skin with really hard pressure is because I apply such a heavy coverage foundation to the skin. I sometimes apply more than needed, I'm just going to be honest. So because of that reason, I am pressing the foundation really into the skin. I don't want it to sit on top of the skin and look cakey. I'm really wanting to press the foundation into the skin so that you can still see like the texture of my skin, and my skin isn't just such a mask of filtered putty. For concealer, I'm just going to use the Sleek Life Proof concealer. So for concealer, I just like to highlight the inner portion of my face just to obviously highlight those areas, and I just like to do my chin, underneath my eyes, just a few wee dots, and then just down the centre of my nose. This is something I've actually started doing recently for some reason, I do not know why. I don't necessarily like to do my forehead because I don't like to have a lot of product on my forehead. So naturally on your face, your forehead is where you have like the most lines. So obviously whenever you have a lot of product, obviously people are going to know you have makeup on your forehead, but I just don't like to put a lot of product on my forehead. So usually whenever I am blending in my under eye concealer and my chin concealer, whatever's left on the sponge, I will just dabble on the forehead. But something else I wanted to talk about whenever it comes to concealer, as you guys may have not noticed, whenever I'm applying concealer to my eyes, I always like to just do like a couple of dots. Oh, look at my dodgy nails. My nail broke last night. But one thing I will never understand, and I used to do this years ago, so I can't really bash it too much until it was made aware to me that you don't have to do it, is whenever people get their concealer and they do this big massive triangle full of concealer, how are you going to blend that out? Just so unnecessary. And if you do this, no offense, you do you boo. Whenever you apply a product such as a liquid product and you go in to blend it out, you know, it's going to spread, it's going to blend out somewhere, you know. So if you do a couple of dots of something the way I do it or whatever, you know, it's going to blend and it's just going to be enough product. But whenever you do like a full triangle, like this full area, what are you doing? You know, like where is that blending out to? Not only are you wasting so much product, you are applying an unnecessary amount of product, especially whenever it comes to your under eyes, because you've went in with a foundation, whether it be a full coverage or whatever, blah blah blah, and then you're going in with so much product underneath your eyes, and especially because underneath your eyes is such like a tender, delicate area, there is just no need to pack on so much product under there. It's just completely unnecessary. So I'm now going to go in and cream contour. I've not cream contoured in so long. I'm going to use the Tan de Chanel, and this is their cream bronzer. As far as I'm aware, this only comes in one shade. They kind of advertise this as being like a universal bronzer. Whenever I'm using cream contours such as this, I will use it on a Makeup Addiction short duo fiber brush. As you're buffing it in, it just kind of makes the cream contour just look more flawless on your face. One thing I also like about cream contour is the fact that you can apply so little, but it can also be so effective. So as you can see, I do not like to take a lot of this product. I kind of like it to be more subtle, because I just like to have this to make my face just look a wee bit more structured and more multi-dimensional. But then we're also going to go in and bronze the face with a powder, so I'm not wanting to be so heavy-handed first off. So I just like to apply it just in circular motions, and I just kind of like to follow my natural bone structure. Whenever I'm cream contouring, I always like to start at the hairline first and then buff my way down towards the center of the forehead. I just kind of find that it just makes the product look more seamless. If you buy anything from Chanel, let it be this stuff here. I'm just going to go in with the Beauty Bakery Flour Powder. So for this I'm going to take a beauty sponge and a tapered face powder. Tapered face powder brush. So whenever I'm setting my face, I like to set my makeup first and then go in and bake. So I just take a bit of product onto my beauty sponge and I just apply it to the areas that I'm wanting to set, which will mainly be the areas that I have put my concealer. So once I have done that, as you can see, I barely have any more powder on the sponge. So I'm now going to go in and press that powder into the skin. I do not like to go in and set my skin straight away by baking. I kind of find that it makes my skin just look a wee bit dodgy and extremely cakey, and I'm left with an obvious line as to where I've baked. I just do not like to bake on top of products that are still tacky. So once I have done that, I can then go in and bake my under eyes. I just like to do my under eyes, bring it around my nose. For some reason I like to do my chin, don't know why, but anyway. Whatever product is left on the sponge, I'm just going to just pat into the forehead. Then I'm just going to take that tapered face brush and I'm just going to dust away that back. I'm going to go in and spritz the face with the Morphe Continuous Setting Spray, so this will just make the powders just melt and settle into the skin. Next up we're going to highlight, so I'm just going to use the Primark Brunch Club highlighter, and this is so nice. This is absolutely beautiful. So I'm just going to use this on the Morphe M510 brush. Whenever I'm applying highlighter as well, I will also go quite heavy handed on the brush, but I will be quite heavy handed on the skin to really buff and blend that into the skin, just so that it's nice and melted in. I kind of find that the more you blend a highlighter, the more beautiful it looks on the skin. For blusher, I'm just going to use the L'Oreal Life's a Peach blusher, and I'm just going to apply this just to the apples of my cheeks. So I just like to apply my highlighter first and then apply my blush and then bronzer. Because I apply so much highlight, that's why I like to apply it first, so then I'm applying the products on top of it / into it, if that makes sense, so that it's all just blending in together. Because as you can see, well, now that I'm applying the blush, I'm kind of blending it over the highlight so that it's all just coming together nicely. Going to go in and powder bronze now with the Butter Bronzer by Physicians Formula. So I'm just going to use this just to set our cream contour that we had laid down, and then I just like to join it just down the temples and then just in. With the powder bronzer, I also like to take it along my jawline, just down around here and up in here, just so it looks more defined. So next up we're going to do eyebrows. So eyebrows is always a bit of a touchy subject whenever it comes to me and strangers on the internet. People just kind of don't seem to get the fact that you do your eyebrows whatever way you want it to. I'm going to use the Freedom Brow Pomade in the shade Auburn, and then I'm going to use the Jordana Fabulous Shape Set Gel, and then the Maybelline Tattoo Brow. This is just the one with the wee thingy, mid-jiggy bobber things, if you want to focus camera, fuck's sake. Whatever brow hair I do have, I just like to comb just in a upward position. I kind of find that I don't like to take a lot of brow gel because I just, I don't know. Eyebrows are now on, and I just carved them out with the Sleek Life Proof Concealer. I'm just going to use one palette for today, and that's going to be the Soft Glam palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. To make this, I look a wee bit more simpler, if that's even a word, for beginners. I'm actually just going to do this eye makeup look with either 2 to 3 colours. So the first brush I'm going to use for my first shade, and this is the brush I always use for my transition shades, so this is the Kylie Jenner brush, and I got this with an eyeshadow palette. I'm not too sure if you can get this anymore, so the reason I use this brush is because it's just big and fluffy. So the first shade I'm going to go into is Rustic. This shade here, such a nice shade, definitely a really nice complementing shade for a transition. That's a lie. I'm going to go in with a burnt orange instead. And I'm just going to start in the middle, focusing it in the crease obviously, and I'm just going to start by buffing and blending that out. And I am not wanting to be precise, so yeah. And then I just like to bring it out. Not too far obviously, because we're not wanting to be crazy with it, and we do have our face done, so if we make any mistakes we're fucked. So I also like to sweep it into that inner corner and feather it up into the front of the brow. I just kind of find that it just defines and accentuates the face. Like, as you can tell, like, can you notice the difference in my two eyes already? And not taking any more on my brush, I'm just going to crazily blend that out. Either rustic or cypress umber. I think we'll go for maybe a wee bit of both actually. So I'm going to just take this on a slightly smaller blender brush, taking two of those shades, which is these two here. With this next shade, we're definitely wanting to be precise. So I'm going to start at the outer edge. Because this is a slightly darker shade, I'm going to be more precise. I'm going to be more careful with the placement of my shadow. I'm going to be more careful with my blending. And I'm going to start with less product and build my way up. So I'm just going to keep this just out the outer corner. I'm kind of blending it into the outer edges of my lash line. And then just really at that outer corner. And then I slowly bring it into the inner corner, keeping in the crease obviously. And then keep that first brush we used always on hand, so you can go back in and just buff them two shades together. Just kind of makes your blending more seamless. If you're wanting to blend out a shade to make the blending a wee bit more seamless with a few colours that you're using, always go back to the previous brush that you used with no product on it and just go over the line of where you had brought the two shades together, and it honestly makes such a difference. Going in with just that rustic shade, not really going to use the both of them because I think this one will just be enough. I'm just going to, yeah, that shade will just be enough. I'm just going to continue the exact same steps. So I'm just going to flip the Kylie Jenner brush over again. I'm just going to use the tip and I'm going to use the rustic shade. I'm just going to run this along my lower lash line. That's a lie. I'm going to use the burnt orange shade just along my lower lash line. So then I'm just going to take the top side of the brush, whatever, and I'm just going to run that along the lower lash line, and I'm just going to join it to the outer edge. Okay, so that's my lashes on, and I just used the Pinky Goat lashes, and these are in the style Hannah. So they're only like half lashes, which I think is just really, as I say, complimenting. I'm just nice and pretty on the eyes. I just think they're really nice. I'm just going to use the MAC Strip Down Lip Liner, and then I'm going to use the Jamie Genevieve Satin Lipstick. So I'm just going to go in for the Morphe setting spray just one more time, just to finish everything off. But this obviously completes this makeup tutorial. I hope it wasn't too boring and just just a wee reminder, this tutorial is more aimed for beginners. Obviously everybody's different and everybody has their own wee techniques and different wee ways of doing things. This is just me and my personal preference and opinions about doing things. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Snapchat, Instagram and Twitter. They'll all be listed down below, and I hope to see you all in my next video.